what Islam was. What did you must have heard?
You have the pure media image of what maybe they'll put on the news, like, oh, Muslims are terrorist fanatics. You know, they go around with Quran in one hand and gun in another one. The women, they're forced to cover up, they're oppressed, they're slaves of their husbands. Arranged marriages, all of these things. This is what the media is pushing about Islam. This is I think maybe what intrigued me to start off with, because when I was trying to find out what these people, why do they consider themselves Muslims, what is Islam, and it was there to start off with. They were saying, well, Islam's not about extremism and moderatism. It's not about oppression. It's not about backwardness and barbaricness. That it's something which we as human beings are recognizing our Creator, the existence of our Creator, that He is, that He knows us best. That He, for example, if we give the analogy of someone who makes a computer, when he produces the handbook for how that computer works, he is the best one. He will know how that computer works. So if I want to know how the computer works, I'm not going to go to someone who made the microwave. I'm going to go to the one who made the computer, because he is the one that knows how that computer works. So likewise, we as human beings, once we've recognized the existence of our Creator, and we can do that by looking around at our reality and proving to ourselves that this world and all that's in it didn't just come from something from nothing. Once we've proved that, then we have to understand that our Creator, He is the one that knows us best, not His creation. So why should I go to another human being and ask him, well, how should I live my life? Why should I go to John Major or to President Bush and ask them, how you're a human being, tell me how to live my life? Because they as a human being are not going to know any better than I am how I should live my life. Only my Creator is going to know how I should live my life in every small detail. So this is what started, I think, in a way, the media attack on Islam was something that made me want to look into Islam more. And I'm finding this now amongst many converts. It's the actual media attack. So that the media are sort of shooting themselves in the foot. The more they attack Islam, the more they attack the so-called fundamentalists, the more people are wanting to look into Islam. They will, let's just, let's find out more about Islam then. What is this terrorism? What is this fanaticism? What is these extremists? So it was that kind of thing which started me sort of looking into it. It was also from my background as Christian that I was never very comfortable with the idea that Jesus was the Son of God. It just didn't make sense to me.
And his Trinity.
And the Trinity, that God is one and one is three, and all these different types of things. So when they were explaining to me that we believe in Jesus, we believe in Moses, but we do not believe that Jesus was the Son of God. He was simply a prophet who brought a message to mankind, and the message was the same as what Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what he brought, basically that there is one God and that we should worship Him. So this really started beginning to make sense. But my problem was, like I said at the beginning, that the Muslims, although they had that understanding, they were not taking it further. Islam to them was just 5 pillars. It was just about praying 5 times a day, even though they didn't do it. It was just about fasting during Ramadan, even though most of them didn't do it. It was just about paying zakat, but even though none of them did that. It was just about going on Hajj once a year, no, not once a year, once in a lifetime. It was just about believing in God and believing in the Prophet. And I didn't want that. I could get this kind of spiritual fulfillment. I could have got that from Christianity. I could have got that from, Buddhism, Hinduism, Sikhism. All of these religions and ideas, they give you this kind of spiritual fulfillment of making you sort of satisfying your spiritual instincts. But as someone, I was studying the law, and the more I was studying the law, I was very sort of into the criminal aspect of English law. And the more I was studying that and looking into the cases, and from that looking into the society, why are people committing these crimes? Why are people abusing children? Why are people doing drug abuse? Why are people becoming alcoholics? Why are people raping? Why are people murdering? There must be reasons. And this society likes to say, oh, it's just, for example, if you look to the Frederick West, oh, they were just two deviant people You know, they were,
Bad childhood.
yeah, or they had a bad childhood. They're nothing to do with society. You know, the way the society behaves has nothing. We're not responsible, basically. They're just individuals, and it's sort of, you know, purely there, something to do with them, and not something to do with the general society at large. But you know, I wasn't prepared to accept that kind of philosophy. So I started looking more and more into society, and the more and more I looked, the more and more I became disheartened. I think at the time, just at the time I actually decided to become Muslim, was the Jamie Bulger case. When the small 2-year-old boy was, you know, he was so devastatingly killed by 2 10-year-olds. And I was thinking, you know, you can't say, it's a society which is producing these children, and it's the children that are going on to do these things. You know, at the time the church was saying, oh, it's not our responsibility, and the government was saying, oh, it's not our responsibility, and society was saying, oh, it's not our fault. You know, and it was society's fault. Yeah, and you got like the whole video taping of like certain individuals who saw them with this small 2-year-old and didn't do anything. Because this is the kind of mentality that the British society or Western society is pushing, that, you know, it doesn't, if it's not in your benefit, if it's not going to benefit me to intervene, yeah, you know, I'm not going to do anything about it. If you see a person drowning, well, you know, well, I'll go to get my clothes wet, so it's not in my interest to, you know, I mean, maybe that's a bit crude, but that's the type of mentality people have.
Because they don't have this form of accountability.
Yeah, they're accountable to no one. I mean, no one has any faith in the judicial system. If you talk to people who've committed crimes, all of them will say, "Oh, I never thought I would get caught." So they don't even think, you know, twice about committing a crime. They don't think they're going to be caught by society or by, you know, by the system. And I certainly don't think that there's going to be anything after this life that they're going to be, you know, accountable to for what they've done. So, you know, why shouldn't they do all these things? And the more I looked into this kind of mentality that people had, and the more I talked to my colleagues at university, the more I thought, I don't want to be part of this society. I don't want to have anything to do with it. But I wanted another way of life. I wanted something which was going to sort of give me a way to live my life, which was going to sort of be in, you know, in harmony with sort of my intellect and my emotions and my instincts, not just like one of my instincts. I didn't want to have this sort of escapist mentality, like going to church on Sunday, feeling really nice, you know, singing hymns and or whatever, and sort of going home and going back to college or university and back to like living in this sort of corrupt and miserable and depraved society. I didn't want that anymore. And they never, you know, many people never will think, oh, you're British, you know, or when they say, no, I'm English, I'm from Britain, I was born here, I was brought up here, no, I converted to Islam when I was 21. Oh, you fell in love with an Arab man, or so, you know, the immediate reaction. And, you know, this is complete and utter nonsense that so many people are converting to Islam, not because they fall in love with an Arab man or a Pakistani man. They are coming to Islam because of the intellectual conviction of Allah, of the Quran, of the Prophet. They are turning to Islam because they want another way of life. They're sick and tired of the way they're being treated in this life, the miseries, the depravities of so-called Western civilization. You know, they always refer to Islam. Islam is backward. Islam is oppressive. But the reality is that Western society is backward. Western society is oppressive. And Islam is really, in fact, liberating, because we are liberating ourselves, and that we are conforming only to the rules and laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I didn't convert to Islam because I fell in love with an Arab man. I came to Islam purely because of this intellectual conviction. And I spent the first 2 years of being Muslim, you know, as a single woman, if you like, you know, and I had I didn't want to get married at that time. I wanted to not perfect, but to reach a very high understanding of Islam before I made a commitment to a fellow human being. And that Muslim, whoever I decided to marry, also had to have that understanding of Islam. That he wasn't, you know, if he held on to ideas of nationalism, well, he wouldn't have married me in the first place. Or, you know, that, you know, if he simply wanted a British passport. Now, I was very careful in choosing who I married, but they had to have this pure understanding of Islam as an ideology, as a way of life. You know, and it's really shameful that the people believe what they say in the media,